off with is a cream shadow, and the cream shadow that I'll be using today is this one by Maybelline, and I'm just taking this middle deep purple shade, and I just find that it's best to use cream products with your fingers because, you know, the natural warmth from your fingers does help melt in the product. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that to my lid, and I'm just going to kind of buff it out a little bit. So I'm going to use this finger to kind of apply the color, and then just going to soften and buff it out a little bit using my pointy finger. So pretty much like that. And again, it's okay if it's not even. You can afford to be a little bit messy when it comes to this step because, you know, it's just the base. When it comes to the shadow and the crease colors, that's when it kind of matters more. So feel free to be not as messy as you want, but feel free to feel okay that it's not even. So I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a little bit more on the other eye and then soften it out. Okay, alrighty. I'm going to apply it on my lower lash line. We kind of want it in just a small area. We don't really want it kind of all over and, like, you know, underneath our eyes. We just want it in the lower lash line. So I just have the color on the tip of my finger, whereas if you have the color all over your finger, then when you apply it, it's just going to go everywhere, and that's not what you want. So just be really, really gentle when it comes to this step. So again, I'm just using that same technique. I'm applying the color with my ring finger and then kind of softening it with my pointy finger. I'm pretty sure it's not called pointy finger, but what the hey. Okay, I'm just gonna apply a little bit more, and you definitely want to apply it all over your lower lash line, so even towards the inner corner. Alrighty, so that's all good. Again, just going to clean off my fingers in between. Okay, so now that we've applied our base, we're going to go ahead and start with the dry shadows and the dry products. And can I just quickly say, the two shadows that I'll be using in this tutorial, they're not even eyeshadows, guys. They're actually blushes. They're these Savvy Mineral Baked Blushes, and oh my freaking dickity god. I think these are a bit too shimmery for a blush, but as shadows, they're just perfection. Like, they're the top quality, best ones that I've come across so far. And just like a quick swatch, I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but it's super, super pigmented. Sometimes, sure, it's great to have a product that is incredibly pigmented, but it's also another thing if it's really crumbly, if it's really messy. So actual like powder pigments are fantastic in color payoff, but in terms of application, it gets a little bit messy. It goes all underneath your eyes. So the same thing goes when it comes to pressed eyeshadow. So you can do a swatch, it'll be great in color, but if you just kind of look around the rim of the eyeshadow, if there's little bits of crumbles, then that's kind of a sign of a lower quality eyeshadow. So these are absolutely amazing. Like, if you guys want a review and you got an up close shot of what I'm actually talking about, then leave a comment down below. That would be awesome. Another excuse to make a video instead of studying and procrastinating. But so just using a flat eyeshadow brush, I'm going to grab a Baked Savvy eyeshadow. Well, sorry, I should stop calling it an eyeshadow. A Baked Savvy blush in the color Blossom, and I'm just going to apply that kind of concentrated in the center of my lids. And it's like beautiful foil on my eyes. It's so metallic-y, it's so pigmented, and I love how there's no fallout. Like, there's not one speck of fallout. They're really, really fantastic, guys, and they're so freaking cheap. They're like $8 a shadow or something. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and feather it out just a little bit, just to soften it because we will be putting eyeshadows next to it, and you kind of want it to blend in a little bit. So that's pretty much that done, that brown color. Okay, again, just going to apply that on either side of that cranberry color, I suppose you could call it, and just kind of blend it in a little bit and really soften it. Taking a fluffy blending brush, I'm going to go ahead and add like a transitional color, and the transitional color I'll be using today is this. It's a matte orange transitional color. Just going to pick up a little bit in my brush, not in my crease but a little bit above my crease and towards the brow bone. I'm just going to kind of blend that on. So again, this is, we want to build up the colors. It's all about building up the colors, not really, you know. Yeah, it's all about building up the colors. That's all I had to say. Pathetic. Okay, cool. And so I don't know if you guys can tell, but it did soften up that color. And I'm just gonna kind of go close to the edge of that shadow that we added on earlier, just to soften it a little bit. So that gives a nice orangey, warm tone to my eye. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, what am I gonna do? Grab this Napoleon Perdis eyeshadow. I guess I could describe it as like a deep burgundy, shimmery kind of color. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a smaller, fluffier blending brush. So specifically, this is kind of made for the crease, and if you guys can tell, but they're definitely different in size. So this one's a little bit flat, whereas this one's totally round altogether. The similarity between these two brushes is that they're both tapered and they're both quite long and flimsy, so they're perfect for blending. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit of that shadow. Be very gentle with the colors, because what you want to do is build up the colors. Once you go overboard with a certain colors, it gets a little bit more difficult to fix it. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and put that on either side of the eye. Okay, just to add a little bit more depth. I'm going to pat it on a little bit, and then we can go ahead and blend that out a little bit. Okay, and what I'm going to do is kind of bring that towards my crease and kind of connect them a little bit. So okay, nice, cool. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to go ahead and take that same brush, just grab a dry tissue and try to clean that off a little bit. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab a deeper brown color. So this palette here is the Too Faced Matte Eye palette, and I'm going to go ahead and take this color up here. So again, that's a matte color, because when it comes to kind of that transitional color as well as the crease, I find that it's a lot more flattering when it comes to hooded eyelids, because if you think about it, if you use shimmery eyeshadows throughout the entire eye, it's going to bring the eye out a little bit more and enhance the hoodiness look, and you want to give the illusion that you have deeper set eyes. So I'm going to take that color and then I'm going to buff that into my crease. So again, we still have a little bit of that Napoleon Perdis eyeshadow on the brush, so I guess it will kind of help blend the two colors together. Okay, so I'm going to quickly grab that fluffy transitional blending brush and just clean it up, soften it a little bit, blend it a little bit out. Okay, awesome. I am liking that so far. Okay, so what I'm going to do now that very first brush that we use, I'm going to grab that flat shader brush and taking that warm tone cranberry eyeshadow, I guess you could call it, I'm just going to dab that in using the tip. Again, because we're just doing the lower lash line, we want it to be nice and clean. We don't want it everywhere. And then go ahead and buff that into the lower lash line where we applied that cream shadow. Alrighty, looking good, looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna take that same deep burgundy Napoleon Purdy or Napoleon Purtis color. Again, just tap the tip in, tap off the excess, and I'm just gonna work that the outer lash line. Make that connect a little bit more. So after buffing it into the lower lash line, I'm just going to bring it up a little bit more just to really connect it. It's almost like a V. Okay, take that blending brush and just soften it a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and start highlighting. So I'm going to grab this palette here and taking this pinky shadow here. It's actually dual tone. So it's got pink and it has yellow shimmer in it, so that's quite nice. Pat that on the ball of my eyelid, okay, and then buff it out with my finger. Again, do it to the other eye. Just pat it on like that, and then soften it by blending it out just a little bit. Okay, and again, just kind of focus it on the tip and bring it down a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that on my inner corner, but I'm gonna be really light-handed about it because it is a 2 dual tone eyeshadow and we want the gold part, not so much the pink part. Just do one dab. It's kind of like a champagne-y gold color, whereas if you kind of build it up more, it will start to show a lot of that pink. So I'm gonna go ahead, pop that on my inner and then soften it with my ring finger. And just bring that to the lower lash line a little bit more, buff it and blend it into that cranberry eyeshadow we had on it earlier. And typically, again, because my eyes are quite hooded, I always go for a matte highlighter. So pretty much a matte highlighter when it comes to your brow bone, you just want to use an eyeshadow that's, I think, 2 shades lighter than your natural skin tone. And it's entirely up to you if you want to use something shimmery, if that's your thing, or if you want to use something matte, because my eyes are quite hooded and they're quite fatty, actually quite round. So I don't want to enhance that feature. I want to elude it a little bit. Is that a word? Elude? So I'm just going to pop underneath my brow bone. It has a little bit of shimmer, but it's not like glittery and it's not too shimmery. It's almost like a frost, but it's relatively matte. So that's the main thing. Alrighty. Okay, using that same Too Faced Matte Eye Palette, I'm going to go ahead and grab another transitional color. This time what I want to do is I'm going to tone it down by using this one here. And this one is kind of more flattering on my skin tone. So just find a transitional eyeshadow that's kind of, again, 1 shade darker than your natural skin tone. And what this will do, because I'm popping it on top of that orange and kind of near that crease, it's going to soften all those colors a little bit more. So it's all about blending and building up the colors, you guys. Okay. Nice. Really liking it so far. I hope you guys are liking it as well. Okay, last eyeshadow, I promise I'm not going to use any more. I'm going to take this slanted small eyeshadow brush, I nearly said eyeliner, and I'm going to dip it into this deep navy color. And again, it's matte because that's more flattering for my fatty eyes. And I'm going to start on my lower lash line, patting it on a little bit first and then dragging it out. And again, you want to go, can you kind of see if I look straight where my iris is? Imagining there's a invisible dotted line going down. That's where you want to stop that dark navy color, because again, we're kind of building up the deeper colors just on the outer edge of the eyes, and that gives the illusion of bigger eyes. So, and just pat that on the outer and then swipe it in. Okay. Okay, nice. So what I want to do now is actually create a V, just oh so slightly. Okay. You're going to be really light-handed with this darker shadow because it's so easy to overdo it. Again, I'm going to take that crease blending brush and just soften it a little bit. Okay. Okay, now that's good. I'm going to deepen up even more. Ever so slightly, just dip it in just a little bit, okay? Tap off the excess, and then we're going to buff that into on top of the outer V. We're just going to build it up. Just bring it in just a little bit, okay? Okay, so that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye. And I'm going to take that brush. It should be relatively clean, like there shouldn't be any of the navy eyeshadow coming off. I'm just going to go ahead and soften that lower lash line color a little bit. I'm going to keep building up that navy color. So again, taking that small angled eye shadow brush, I nearly said eyeliner. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little bit more of that pinky jewel tone color and just add a little bit more to the center because I really want to emphasize the ball of my eye. Okay, that's looking good. I'm happy with everything else. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the eyeshadow. So now I'm going to go ahead and use my gel liner, and I'm using Maybelline, the same maker of that cream shadow that I used earlier, and just using a small tiny angled eyeliner brush, even smaller than that angled eyeshadow brush. Gonna go ahead and line my eyes. Bing! Okay, cool. So that is my eyeliner done, you guys. I did a little bit of a flick at the end, but it was epic fail. If you guys kind of stare long enough, I hate this, it happens to me quite a lot sometimes. It's not perfectly even. This one's actually got a little bit more curvature and it's flicked up a little bit, so oops. Because I've used gel liner tonight, I have to let that dry a little bit, because if I do curl my eyelash, this gel liner does transfer to the eyelash curler. As that's drying, what I tend to do is go ahead and do the rest of my face. So yeah, if you do have like an orangey matte eyeshadow, go ahead and use that. I actually apply my blush a little bit differently compared to anyone else. This one's the MAC one here, and it's actually a blush brush. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this one is not as fanned out as a stippling brush. It's a lot denser, and again, it's tapered, so it will pick up a lot of product. If you just dot it on, then you're gonna have a round little splotch on your face. Depending on the size of your face, this one's like a really good size for me. And because it's a lot more fanned out and it's a lot flimsier than the actual MAC brush, it allows me to build up the color, not so much
I have to be really light-handed with the blush, like,
you know, I can actually afford to be a little bit more aggressive. Apply it to the side of the apple, and then I kind of in circular, little bit of a circular motion, just blend it up a little bit. Okay. Alrighty, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it just added a little bit of flush of color to my cheeks. So that's all good and done. I like a little viva voom and a little bit more drama, so I'm actually going to use a deep purpley wine lipstick. So this one is actually by Smashbox and it's in the color Vivid Violet. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Bam! Okay. Nearly dropped the lip. I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, curl my eyelashes as well as apply mascara and then add some falsies. While that dries, I'm actually going to add another coat of mascara on my bottom lashes. And the crappy mascara I'll be using today, you guys, I have way too many mascaras. If you would like for me to do a mascara review, leave a comment down below. Okay. Whew. Alrighty, so that's pretty much the look completed, guys. If you made it to the very end of this video, thank you so much for being patient. There's also one thing that I really wanted to ask you guys. Do you prefer voiceovers or do you prefer this type of video where I'm kind of talking through the steps? Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys. What I gotta say before I end this video, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I had like a scab on the bottom of my lip. It's actually not a cold sore, if you guys were thinking that. Funny story, what happened was, it was around 11 or 12 o'clock and I was kind of cramming for uni because I had like a test the next day and I got really hungry around 12 o'clock. So you know those instant soups that you just add boiling water? And you know, I was eating it, but I was like, oh my god, this tastes so good, and oh my god, I'm so hungry. And I just went a little bit cray-cray, and clumsy old me decided to eat a little bit too fast when it came to the hot soup, and I went, and I was like, yeah, it blistered straight away, and now it's just starting to scab. And it's so annoying because it actually feels like there's a hair on my lip. Like I have to remove this tiny piece of hair, but turns out it's just the scab. So just wanted to clear that up. It's not a cold sore, it's a scab, a burn scab. So moral of the story, don't eat hot soup too fast. Yeah.